Welcome to the Grateful Gwen Goodreads channel, where we are continuing on with The Art of Being, Recapturing the Self by author Catherine Laroze. Keep moving at all costs. Quick, quick, run! You're hurtling down the crowded boulevard. Are you going to be late? Not at all. You just can't waste time dodging traffic. Your technique? It's been tried and tested over the years. You look at a landmark in the distance, a lamppost perhaps, then you charge at it. The most important thing is not to deviate from that straight path, not to stray from the line you are following. Your speed is fine-tuned, hands in pockets, chin jutting forward, your step large and ample. You find a rhythm, fall into it, and perform each movement as an expression of a forceful decision. This determination has imposed itself upon you, and now you impose it upon others. You walk rapidly. You dig through the crowd before you. You are parting people at the bow of as the bow of a ship parts the waters. You actually enjoy the feeling that the world is moving around you because of you, according to your wishes. Sometimes you recognize someone like yourself. Same determined step, same purposeful movements. Suddenly, like a puff of air, you meet, but the two trains traveling at the same speed have no effect on each other. The man of the world hides entirely behind a mask. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Most people, on the other hand, hesitate around you. You can see them walking slower and slower until finally they stop. When you reach them, they dive abruptly to the side to let you pass. You wonder how long it must take these people to reach the end of the boulevard. 2 minutes and 40 seconds. The record has been broken. Whose record? Yours, of course. There's no other witness. The record is for your own pleasure. It's a glorious, intimate victory. There's no use in running clumsily. You know this well. You are only interested in the euphoric feeling brought on by your streamlined speed, performance, and efficiency. It's a way of testing yourself to see if you really are up to the bar that you've set for yourself. It's also a way of measuring others, not only to see if you are their equal, but also to see if you can surpass them, be competitive, be the leader of the pack. Tiring? Yes, it is sometimes. It's impossible to be permanently hard at work. You need to breathe, take a break, save some energy to start again later. Between these moments of euphoria and of action, you need to drop your mask. Drop your mask? What mask? Your mask, moving, doing at all costs. It's you, yet it's not you. The days that you feel full of go and in possession of all your energy are paradoxically the same days that you are faced with doubt, as if, having arriving at the very peak of a mountain, you've discovered that the surrounding landscape is completely featureless. A strangeness. Something just isn't right. Your face, your features, okay, it's definitely you. Your hair, all your little details, you recognize with no trouble. But there's something else, something that holds and animates your face. This something is not a hard, opaque mask. It's more subtle than that, like a facial expression or the attitude you carry, an expression or an attitude that is not natural to us, in which we look for ourselves without success. Do you remember the curiosity with which you looked at your own face at the beginning of adolescence? It was then that this intimate quest began, the quest to question your character, to discover the secret meanings of your existence. If your face seemed mysterious back then, that's because life itself was mysterious. But today, it's a matter of something else. The mystery has disappeared, buried deeply, replaced by strangeness. You don't know anymore where the I is in your face. In vain, you search for it. It should be clear, readable. It used to appear sometimes, revealing itself in some places only to vanish in other places. Where am I? This is what you ask yourself when, out of breath, you stop. Where am I in this movement? Where am I in this activity, in this never-ending race? But be honest. How many times have you allowed yourself to stop and ask these questions? Of course it has happened, but haven't you just gotten into the habit of avoiding it? Haven't you fallen into the habit of not recognizing yourself? Haven't you become a stranger to yourself? Do you really know yourself? And in running so fast, isn't it only from yourself that you are escaping? Next part, the garden. Sheets of paper, pens, and ink are in place. Books are open, the documents are ready, the cup in your hand is filled with a steaming brew. Everything is there, as usual, just as it is every morning. But despite all, your mind is in the clouds. You tried changing your position, adjusting the thermostat, unplugging the phone, getting up and sitting down, rubbing your worry stone, but there's no sense in forcing it. You never doubted that one day or another this would happen. A breakdown, a real breakdown, a stupor, a daze, astonishment. You don't even know what to call this paralysis that is constraining you right now. Too many things, too much of everything. Nothing manages to reanimate your face, to wake up your energy. Neither your favorite books nor your familiar portraits, normally harbingers of hope and constructive ideas. But even as you give up hope, a soft breeze caresses your face. A draft, no doubt, seeping in through the window panes. A breath of tender grass, fresh water, and mossy stones. Outside to the garden. It is there, just a few yards from you, and yet you no longer see it. You have been so blinded by daily tasks. It is there, pale and slightly trembling in the white light of early morning. You throw a sweater over your shoulders and quickly go down the stairs. The door resists a bit. The wood is swollen. Timidly you advance. The garden's austere naivete moves you. It is a child, yet old at the same time. It never stops growing new shoots, all the while becoming deeper in its old age. You have walked its pathways before, but today you are seeing it for the first time. How could you have forgotten? Quickly you evaluate the work that needs to be done, pluck the grass from the paths, remove the moss, trim the hedges, give order to the groups of plants, cut dead branches, tie back the rose bushes. There are so many things to do. But the garden is beautiful as it is. A little abandoned, a little crazy, slightly rambling, it speaks of a life that lets itself go, tenderly, of emotions that pour out freely, of sensations that know no restraint. A carnation, how is there a carnation growing in this season, exhales a soft scent like a sigh. What are we afraid of? That we want to put everything in order. Pensive, you sit down on a stone bench. A ray of sunlight licks your cheek. You remove your shoes and caress the earth with your bare feet. Scruples. Running, but something, or rather someone, catches your attention. A man is there, pacing in front of a store. He is dressed in an overcoat, a suit, and a tie. His shoes are well polished. In his hand he holds a slim leather briefcase, like that of a professor or doctor. Periodically he looks at his watch, preoccupied. His appointment is late. But this man isn't waiting for someone, and nobody comes to meet him. Those who take this route daily know that each day he can be found in front of this store window, pacing back and forth for hours, pretending to wait for someone. It's the repetition of his action that makes it bizarre. Without it, you wouldn't find anything strange about this man, except maybe if you looked carefully, something feverish and worried in his eyes. This situation is ordinary, terribly ordinary. It's only fair if it elicits feelings of compassion from the people who know the truth. A man who has lost his job continues to make himself believe that he is still active, that he still has meetings, appointments, and projects. Maybe he says every morning to his wife, "See you tonight." Maybe he hopes every day to meet someone who can change his situation, or for an improbable event to occur. An ordinary case, of course, you've seen worse, yet this man himself is a symptom of a malady that any of us could fall victim to one day or another, which results from the tension caused by the constant injunctions to which we are subjected from the first days of our existence. Do work, never be still, could be the leitmotif of our era. With its quickened tempo of life, the creed of modern times replacing individual free will. You have to keep active. Doing is better than doing nothing. This way of thinking, if it is not to grind to a halt and provoke a total collapse, must justify itself. How many times have you heard, "You're not doing anything?" Oh, good. Do something, anything. Occupy yourself. You must occupy your time. You must do something. You cannot do nothing. And so the man in front of the building keeps going, even though the original purpose and reason behind his movements and actions has disappeared. He doesn't stop. Something inside him cannot give in to inactivity. He feels obligated to repeat the same actions, to play over and over the same scenes, and thus to participate in the movement of the world. Or else what? Or else he'll crack up, completely break down. This man is trying, despite everything, to hold the pieces together. He is attempting, through his charade, to stay in sync with the world, keep up with the restrictions that he has pledged himself to. How long can this show go on? Impossible to say. But the whole thing resembles a house of cards at the mercy of the slightest breath of air. The man is fragile. He is troubling to us. His situation touches us beyond the human problem that he has fallen victim to. His behavior strikes a chord in us. Certain elements of his behavior taken alone are mundane, even familiar. But all the little compulsive signs, when put together, signal a significant problem. We can all catch ourselves in these little compulsive behaviors, getting dressed up when we have nothing to do, looking at our watches when we aren't waiting for someone, and all those other things like consulting our agenda every 5 minutes, compulsively checking the answering machine. We put so much energy into occupying all the free time in our days. I'm going to add checking social media to this too, since that's a phenomenon today. In fact, we are all conforming subconsciously to this vast and universal movement that is permanently urging us to hasten our step, constantly pushing us into the near future, beyond the present moment. This movement, by definition, rejects the ideas of immobility, resting, the here and the now. This movement is mobility, stretching, motion, a push toward the future. This movement creates a world where nothing is stable or fixed. It offers us an ever-shifting, evanescent view, like the view from a train traveling at top speed. The scenery changes continuously. By the time we arrive at a certain point, it's already gone. Because of this movement, what we think we can touch is already somewhere else, thanks to the obligation to continue pushing forward. Landmarks have an extremely short lifespan, and this pressures us to constantly keep in step. If we fall behind, if we step aside and reject this headlong journey, the wind of the passing train could blow us away. Thus, we keep moving too. Even when we can reasonably stop because we've finished our work, because we're tired, because it's vacation, because we need a break, because our schedule dictates it, or even because of some outside force, the weekend, job loss, we dare not. We don't even know how to stop. This controlling force makes us continue to adhere to it, even when it is not useful. We continue to run even when no obligation exists. We continue to be irritated and annoyed even when nothing is nudging us. We continue to be on the alert because we have to. This need to do is what connects the outside world and ourselves. We believe that living on the go, in a constant state of excitement, juggling 1,000 projects, is the hallmark of a particularly successful individual's active and energetic functioning at his prime. This is because, while we are pushing forward, we are conforming to an exterior model that reinforces a positive, energetic, dynamic image. The need to constantly do pulls at us from two directions, from within us and from the outside, where our society constantly reinforces the validity of our choices. Of the direction taken. We are not capable of stopping. Even our interior self is powerless to resist, because it in itself is obeying the exterior force. It's not just a question of one part of us adhering to this movement. What is required is our active, dynamic part, but there also exist other parts of us that only want rest, comfort, and inactivity. Imagine that one day we just stopped. What do you fear? What would happen? It's not certain that we can interrupt this impetus with a simple choice on our part. The machine continues to turn, even without a precise purpose. It behaves like some mechanisms. Better to keep it running on empty than to stop it. Similarly, we know that the world itself continues to advance. That's the reason why, even when we can stop, we don't. This world in action, which will never run out of fuel or hit the brakes on its inexorable progression, sends us back all the more empty. It is difficult to oppose the enormous energy expended by the mechanical world in motion with the inaction of one individual. We prefer to stay afloat, even if sometimes we get overwhelmed by the current, even if sometimes we are forced to simulate movement, just a few token actions, in order to continue to be part of the greater movement, in order not to be left stranded on the banks. This energy-saving technique can't last. Sooner or later, you have to set up the tempo, make up lost time so that once again you can be active, swim in the same rhythm, carried by the stream, struggling against the current to be sure you don't slip away, that you keep your head above water. The golden rule for steering a small boat, we have learned, is to go faster than the current does. Thus, we can avoid being at the whim of the waves, we can cut through the turbulence, and we can find ourselves always at the crest, victorious, triumphant. We don't know where we're going, but we're going there, every one of us. Intoxicating, euphoric, this great and beautiful human movement. The next section in The Art of Being by Catherine Laroze is called The Downward Spiral of Happiness, and we will save that one for the next time. Until then, take care. Keep breathing and moving at your own pace, and being aware of that mask. It's okay to take off the mask and rest once in a while.